Well, I've been with you for about 2 weeks now, and I just had a few questions. I'm just getting all my ducks in a row
Let's
so I
do
can
it.
get started. Well, my first question is I got with the title company, and they sent me a list of fees. I did watch your video on fees, and I know I have to watch it again.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if I can send you it. I don't know if I have to be a part of the Flip Brick Plus in order to do something like that. But there's a lot of different fees on there. I don't know if they're charging me more for anything, but
So,
they're pretty itemized.
I don't know if I think I recently released, I've done a lot of videos on title companies. The reason why I asked them to put their fees in writing, because guys, they know when you guys are brand new at this, and they will play with you like a child toy. Like, because if you don't know what to ask for. So here's an easy thing is reach out to 3 other random title companies. They don't have to be investor friendly, and ask for a copy of their fees. And
Okay,
then
so
you
I'll do
can
that and
start
I'll
comparing. So
cross-reference.
which state are you in?
I'm in Georgia.
Yeah. So the crazy thing is, I try to teach people about the summation of fees, because title companies have this crazy thing where they'll call it a title review fee, they'll call it a utility lien fee, and just add them up. And I'm a statistical guy. If the number doesn't exceed this, you call the fee whatever you want. When the number exceeds this, we are going to go through them line item by line item and pick away at it. So traditionally in a title company, they're going to charge what they call a settlement fee. And that's just their fee. Remember, that's their fee for having a staff, a receptionist, lights on, and paying for the lease of the building. There's a cost to running a business, right? And they have to
Right.
charge accordingly. Now,
Okay.
the second set of fees are fees that you and me cannot negotiate. They are set government fees, and you can get that from the state of Georgia. So usually they record to record anything in public records. There's a fee for it, and like whenever you sell and transact on a property in any state, that it's so ridiculous how much we pay in these fees. But like in the state of Florida, every $1,000 I record, it's 0.007 cents
Wow.
or 0.07. So you can divide it. You can actually do the mathematical. And then there's recording fees. And then you have obviously your taxes. All those are non-negotiable. So when people argue with that, you're just wasting your time. What you want to do is they get a settlement fee, but here's where the title companies will get you. They'll just put a bunch of other little line item fees in there. Just go through everyone and just start asking, what is this for? What does this cover? Now, how does a title company make most of their money, though? Which fee do they make most of their money?
I don't
I'm
even remember.
testing you, Darius.
I don't remember.
They sell insurance policies. They sell a
Oh, right,
title
right.
policy.
Insurance policy. That's right. That's right.
So they are regulated by the state of Georgia how much they can charge, and you can get
Okay.
that, and they have to legally give you that number. Now, on
Okay.
average, so if the title policy is $2,000, they earn about 55% of that money as their profit. That's how they make most of their money. They use the settlement fee to cover their overhead running costs. And then what they like to do is put a lot of garbage fees in. And if you don't pay attention, they'll just keep stacking them on there. Like
Right.
I've seen everything on there. Like, so if they charge you a utility lien search, ask them for a copy, because they legally have to give you a report of all the utility lien searches. Like, I know in the state of Florida, all the companies charge me for that. They never do it. And I tell them, unless I have a report right here at the closing, you got to take that fee off. And they
All
learn
right.
after a while. But the reality is, Darius, is once you get used to working with a title company and you understand the boundaries they work in, they can't really screw you. And it's just easier. In the beginning, I just accepted everyone's fees. I once got charged a $3,500 settlement fee.
Wow.
I thought that was normal. Do you know how much I pay for an average settlement? And keep in mind, guys, I do a lot of transactions. I pay $395. That's it. End of story. Like, they know that if there's anything more than that, I'm gonna like go nuts. Not me, my transaction coordinator. But I paid $3,500 multiple times with my eyes shut because I didn't know the difference. So all I want you to do is educate yourself on it. Everyone's a little bit different. Everyone's a little different fees. And then every time you get a HUD, it should be consistent to the one you had before. And the only
Okay.
times I ever had changes is when the company got sold or something like massively changed in like legislation or law. And so like I'll get $395, but then I get charged like $150 title search fee. So I know on average I'm going to pay about $700 to $800 in just fees to the title company, because that's what they have to charge to cover their overhead. And if it goes over that number, I'm done. Like I get like. And that's what you just got to understand and go through it. If you ever look on a title HUD on a HUD, there's like so many line item numbers. It's ridiculous. And I recently had a title company. They did one HUD for me. I did one 2 weeks later, and they used a different type of HUD, which is very frustrating to me. So you want to make sure they use the same template so you can go by, hey, what's line item 1263? And just be curious and ask a lot of questions. And then you quickly find out what's negotiable and what's not negotiable. And then I told you, find 3 other random title companies and ask for a list of their fees. And then you can compare apples to apples. But once you get to a normal number, like I always said, listen, as long as the closing fee is under $1,000, like total, you can sit here and nickel dime me all you want. Just make sure you're going to do what I need to do. So if I bring in a cash buyer for an assignment of contract, help me make sure it goes smooth. But my title company, like I was stuck in Miami this last week. They were letting me do, they let me and my staff do everything virtually, remotely. And they have a hard policy. No, they're like, because we've known you so long, hey, we're going to do this for you. And that relationship, honestly, it's worth its weight in gold. And but I've had a title company once try to charge me $12,000 for a closing because they were really pissed at me and I was working with another attorney, and you just got to be familiar with your fees. So you could send it to me, but honestly, it's not hard to find out.
Yeah,
and if
I'm
you
gonna
don't
do what
understand
you
it,
said.
go on Wholesaling Houses for Real and post the fees there and say you're in the state of Georgia and let people comment it. They'll help you out a lot. As long as it's not your private HUD and they post it to you, that's fine. Most title companies hide all their fees from people and they just don't share them. And depending on how much of a pain in the ass you are, that's how they charge you. You know that? It's the truth. I talk to title companies all the time. They go, he's difficult, so we're just going to charge him the $12.95 closing fee. I'm like, oh my God, how do I not be difficult? So understand your title company holds the keys to a lot of things. Ready for this? I've had title companies do closings for zero cost for me because they felt bad about something that went down with the transaction. That's the title company you want to work with. So within reason, add up all the fees they're charging and then figure it out from there. But I don't spend time on wire fees and stuff like that. And then if you have to do a notary, let them handle it. But just to let you know, a mobile notary is $75. I just had a title company charge me $350. I'm like, show me the bill. They can't show you the bill, don't pay it. So
understood.
They unfortunately, the truth is a lot of them take advantage of us wholesalers because they can. And we let them. So if you get the fees up front, they can't double down on back of you. So
yeah, they sent me a list of fees as soon as I got off the phone with them. They sent me a whole list. So
okay. And did you look
I'm
at
gonna
them?
go through them. Yeah, I'm gonna go through them again.
Yeah, so go get another title company and compare it to it and just start walking through it. And then ask them questions line by line. What's this one for? What's that one for? And just start going. But when it comes to notaries or all this other stuff, ask them for invoices for it. If they give you utility lien search, they use a third-party company to produce that report. And you want that report. I found out in one of my counties, I did 15 recent closings. They charged me for each one of them. And they never actually ran the report. You know why? Because somebody came back to me for an old water bill. And I go, not my problem. They're like, we're not paying that. I'm like, let me explain how title works for you. And it just we got in an argument over a $600 bill.
Wow.
I'm like, what's the point of doing a utility lien search if I'm going to get a bill after the closing?
Right.
Like, no, we don't actually run it, Rick. We just tell you we did. I'm like, okay. So you're fine with it. Don't spend too much energy. And what you'll do is you'll find out, my rule of thumb, if a closing company ever charges you more than $1,000 in closing outside of an attorney, you're usually getting screwed. It's just the truth of the matter.
Okay.
So look it up and see if that rhymes true. And if not, go back down. And then as you do more closings, they'll keep discounting your fees. And so you should get the worst case scenario up front.
Got you.
Okay.
I have one more question. If that's okay. I know that I think I heard you say that the buyers are supposed to cover those title fees.
So when it comes to title fees, guys, I want everybody to understand on this that everything's negotiable. So you have a price of a house. If a house is $200,000, that's what you negotiate on it. Now, when it goes to title, depending on what county and what state you're in, there's what they call customary fees. Customary means this is what the realtors do in your local county. You want to find out what the customary fees, ask your title company and they'll tell you. So in the state of Florida, predominantly the buyer pays for the title insurance and the seller pays the doc stamps. Now, it's 100% negotiable. If you get a phenomenal deal, Darius, like phenomenal deal, and they're kind of like, well, I like it, but I'm worried about this. I go, I'll tell you what, if you can take this offer, I will go ahead and pay for your closing fees. And then you got to spell out, that's going to be the recording fees. That's going to be the title insurance, which are to the two biggest. The only thing really negotiable at that point, and then you'll pay the closing fees from the title company because you know it's $1,000, right? So now you know how to negotiate. The only thing left in the air is the property taxes. And I try to dictate. Now, if it's a reasonable property tax and they're not behind like 5 years, I'll pick it up. But you can negotiate anything. Some people love when you just pay closing costs, but sometimes on a tight deal, I can't pay for closing costs because they could be $4 or $5 grand and it doesn't make the deal work. So I only use the closing cost as an incentive to sign a deal with me. I never use it as a rule, unless I put it on the marketing itself. So, and then the word closing cost is very misleading. It's like, what's closing cost? Usually the closing cost traditionally is what the fee the title company charges you, is roughly around $1,000. So when you say, hey, I'm paying closing cost, it doesn't overcommit you to anything, just so you know. But sellers like to be clear and know, hey, what am I going to net? Then you have to get into the numbers. If I'm getting a deal 50 cents on the dollar, who cares if I'm going to pay the closing cost? But I will tell them, if it includes property taxes in your marketing to people with tax delinquencies, I've seen property taxes as far back as 10 years. So you got to be careful what you commit to. And I ask them, and you can look up and see when people pay their property taxes. So when it comes to closing costs, it just becomes part of the negotiation. When you get a phenomenal deal and you just want to incentivize them to close, go, listen, I tell you what, Ms. Smith, if you can commit to me now and we can get a signed contract, I'll go ahead and throw in the closing cost to make this a no-brainer for you. That's it. If you have a really tight deal, don't throw it in because you're just going to throw in more cost on top of your number and it's not going to work out. Everything is negotiable in real estate. The customary closing charges are set by your local realtors, which influence the title companies. But remember, you can negotiate whatever you want. Make sense?
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. That makes a lot of sense.
Okay, man.
I appreciate you
Let me know
taking my
if you need
call.
any help with it.
All right, we'll do.